Seriously, look at that sky. Look at that. Oh man, how blessed are we with a sky like that? So, question for you. What kind of idiot decides 2 days after the longest day of the year to come out and do a car camping session for sunset and sunrise? This idiot. So, hello, welcome back to the channel. I've made a return inland to the Peak District. So, I was working it out the other day, and I've not been to the peaks since December, when we had all that snow. Now, I know obviously we've had all the situation with Ma and stuff, but that's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest with you. I know obviously my project for the year is going coastal, so I wanted to try and start the year with doing as much coastal touring as possible, but I missed my hills. So we're back in the Peak District, and oh my God, it smells so good. Fresh, clean air. Oh, love it. Love it. Oh, not loving this climb up though. The legs aren't used to it after not being here for 6 months. So anyway, yeah. This evening we're at the Roaches. Tomorrow morning for sunrise, we'll be at the Roaches. So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing one end for sunset, parking up, grabbing some kip if I can, and then going down the other end and doing sunrise down towards Hencloud and stuff. So yeah, let's crack on and go see if we can find some pictures ready for sunset.
The world right off your shoulders. Some limits don't present themselves at haste. The early worm delights the morning light. The news comes crashing through your open window. Then all at once you feel the rushing wind come blowing
in. Seriously, look at that sky. Look at that. Oh man, how blessed are we with a sky like that? So, amidst my excitement, sorry, I have still got the camera set up. So, a little bit of a backstory to this image. It's not really a backstory that most people probably find relevant. But one of the shots I wanted to take today was of camera, Bare Stone Rock, which is right on the edge of this side of the Roaches. Now the reason being, as some of you, sorry if it's windy down the mic, I'll try and shelter a bit. Some of my regular viewers will know that about 18 months ago we lost one of our cats, Jess. And we used to actually nickname her the Tiny Bear, or Bear for short, because she did have a slight resemblance. When she looked at you straight on, she did have a slight resemblance to a bear. So as soon as I noticed that there was a rock up here called the Bear Stone Rock, I had to get a picture of it for her. So yeah, soppy moment there from me. And yeah, ironically, it's pointing straight towards the sunset, or where the sun's setting anyway. And yeah, that light was just epic just then. Had some lovely God rays coming through the clouds. So weirdly, I was taking pictures of the Bear Stone, noticed this sky, so I swung round and there's a field barn just down there, and swung round, started taking pictures of that, looked behind me, saw those God rays, so I whipped the camera back round. I started on the 24-35, then I went to the 50 for that one, then I had to whip the 24-35 back on there. Now, any Sony users will know they are literally just muck magnets for their sensors, so I had to quickly do that. I've got quite a bit of wind, you can probably see from the grasses behind me and my hair and all, and you can probably hear it down the mic as well. So I've now probably got a load of crud in my sensor. But you know what? I can deal with that in post-processing. Just to have grabbed that light, it's gone now. Actually, looks really good on this. It's not. It's flat and dead, to be honest with you. The light behind me still looks quite epic. So I'll tell you about this shot. You've got the field barn down here. And there's also a lake or reservoir or something behind us. I need to look up where that actually is. And yeah, got that nicely framed up with the light in the sky as well. I'm hoping I grabbed that shot and got it. Let's have a look. Yeah, might need a little work in post-processing. Now, just to launch into the topic of today's video, and that is, and it's relevant to this as well, don't be afraid to up your ISO. Now the reason I say that is because of these winds, I was actually shooting at ISO 400. Now those, again, regular viewers of my videos will know that I tend to try and keep my ISO at around 100 to try and get the best image quality, least noise, blah, 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 blah. However, I've had to shoot on ISO 400 to try and up my shutter speed, because obviously moving into sort of sunset time, it's kind of needed, to be honest with you. The light is quite dim, it's very cloudy as you can see from behind me, so I've had to up the ISO to 400 just to try and actually get a shutter speed that'll not necessarily freeze those grasses moving in the wind, but to try and minimize their movement. If they've got a bit of motion blur in there, so be it. But the last thing I wanted was just a complete whitewashed blur, because if I crank the ISO down to 100, I would have to use a shutter speed of 1/13 of a second at aperture of an f8. I had to drop the aperture just to try and keep the ISO at 400. I could have upped that to f11, not a problem. But f8 is fine, because I've obviously got the Bear Stone in the picture, and then the sky and stuff will fade out into the background. I'm more than happy with that. Focus stacking isn't really an option because of this wind. So yeah, I will take it, the drop off, to be honest with you. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna have a wander further up to the Roaches, and yeah, let's see if we can find a nice composition for sunset.
It's cold out here tonight. Let's chase the fireflies. Your breath mixes with mine as we sit by the fireside.
Oh, an idiot here as well, just took a tumble. I literally, my foot just stepped off the path into some long grass. Down I went, wrist broke my fall, but yeah, got a bit of pain in my ankle. Fortunately, I've just walked it off, so hopefully there'll be no swelling tomorrow morning, because not only obviously I've got a couple of plans to be out to a couple of locations tomorrow, I've also got a 2.5 hour drive home. So yeah, fingers crossed, that'll be fine. So anyway, back to ISO. Now, one of the reasons that you shouldn't be afraid of your ISO is modern cameras. Now, I have to say, probably because the high megapixel count on an old sensor, but the 5DS low light handling capabilities were good, but they weren't great. The A7R4, on the other hand, different kettle of fish. The low light capabilities on that are just absolutely fantastic. So, I'll be honest with you, using ISO 400, 800 on the 5DS wouldn't have concerned me at all, to be honest with you. It was more for really dark scenarios. I wouldn't have been a big fan, to be fair. But on the A7R4, I could crank that straight up to 1600 and it wouldn't be too much of an issue. A little bit of tweaking in post-processing, and you've got a beautifully clear image. So yeah, anyone using modern cameras, full frame cameras, things like that, don't be shy. If you need to get your shutter speed up, then crack your ISO up. It's one of those situations where sometimes, you know, your exposure triangle and all that palaver, you need a bit of give and take, and you might need to sacrifice one of those three elements. Now obviously when it's breezy, which is all it is today, it's just breezy with long grasses, you want to increase your shutter speed. Now, because of that breeze, you want to, you can't really focus stack, not that well, not easily, because the grass, not here anyway, the grasses are everywhere blowing around. So you can't overly focus stack that well. The last one then, that you can sacrifice, is your ISO. So yeah, a couple of bits there to bear in mind. Now I'm going to keep walking up the Roaches and yeah, see if I can find a composition. I'm getting up to some nice craggy rocky area, which is exactly what I wanted. So let's crack on. Right, so that sky looks all right behind me. I'm going to spin you around, so I apologise if it's really windy. This is roughly where the sun's setting. So it's a total washout. It's really hazy and grey cloud, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign out now. It's probably quite a really short video, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame that obviously the sun's not setting, or the clouds are really, really dense. It's now sunset and there's no sign of anything at all, which is a real shame. There's no light and stuff. I had hoped, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed at all, because to be honest with you, I'm just so lucky to be back up in the peaks. That's just making me happy as it stands. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have just a little wander around and take a couple more shots. If there's anything that I actually find, going back to the topic of last week's video, don't just take shots for the sake of it, but there's a couple of bits that have caught my interest, even if the skies aren't playing ball, as it were. So yeah. Now, as it's obviously getting darker and darker, I'm probably going to have to push that ISO to try and freeze some of this movement in the grasses. So yeah. Now, what I will say is, yeah, that wind's actually getting stronger, to be honest with you. So yeah, I may have to crank that ISO up a little bit, probably start hitting 800 and stuff. So yeah, there we go. Now, obviously what we'll do is we'll sign out now. I'll pop any pictures up at the end if there are any that are any good. Now, obviously, if you've liked the video, give us the old thumbs up as per usual, and drop some subscribes from down the bottom as well, because yeah, got a couple more videos coming from this little 24-hour tour. And yeah, this is Mike out. Take care and be safe, everyone. Peace.